Welcome to a Shaun short episode of Always Another Game, where we delve into my mind very, very quickly with a quick, rapid topic. But if anybody is actually watching on video right now, and you're going to find out very, very soon if you're not, I am not alone today in the Shaun short. Today it is a Shaun and Caitlin short. You may recognize Caitlin from the previous episode. And I'll explain more why she's back in a second. But thank you for joining me again, Caitlin. How's it going?
Thank you for having me again. I'm very excited about our topic, but I won't spoil anything. And yeah, let's see.
So how is life? Because when we last spoke, you were in Spain, and you are now no longer
True.
in Spain.
No, I'm not. I've moved on. I'm in Portugal again. Um, I'm still not quite the place where I want to be and where I live. I'm like in a little in between stop in a little surf town on the coast of Portugal. And yeah, it's not that nice today, but usually it's quite nice and sunny. That's why I came back. And yeah, and then I'll be staying in Portugal for a while because that's kind of my home base and I need some, time to focus and calm down. And I don't know, maybe you have a place like that as well, but for me, Portugal is that place where I go to when I need to like breathe, chill out a bit, figure out my life and my thoughts.
I need to
That's what I'm doing
find
right
one of
now.
those. I need to find
Oh,
one
you
of those
should.
places. Let's put it that way. But for anybody that maybe hasn't joined in from the last episode, please do go and listen to it. But Caitlin is a former equestrian vaulter. If you don't know what it is, please listen to the episode and then Google the images. It's fascinating. But now she's living the life of a digital nomad, working within social media. I won't take up too much time on that today. I said to learn more, please do um, go and look. But this topic came about because at the end of the recording last time, we kind of sit backstage in the green room and we have a little chat and reflect on the session. And we had a very, very interesting topic, which when I left the studio, as it is a studio on here. It does
Yeah.
call it studio. But when I left the studio, I started to kick myself because this was a topic that I talk about quite a lot. And Caitlin had mentioned that she'd gone through the same thing as well. So this is kind of like our extra time, our overtime episode. And what we want to talk about today is coaching. And that is coaching within the sport and coaching with life after sport. Because for me personally, I'll get Caitlin to tell her story shortly. I always wanted to coach an ice hockey team before I retired. Now, for many reasons, I was unable to do that. And a part of me had some regret that I wasn't able to do that. But as life has evolved, I realize now I am a coach. I am coaching. I am coaching human beings, just not in ice hockey, but in behavior change and habit. And Caitlin, you kind of expressed something very similar. So just to kind of share, you did go into coaching straight away after you retired from competing in equestrian vaulting.
Pretty much. So I was kind of forced into a retirement a little bit due to injuries with my knee and a lot of issues there. And I'd always been coaching a little bit, on the side because it's just like, as you also said, like it comes naturally as well when you're in the sports and you're very involved in it. Like it's a natural thing to do to go and coach a team eventually, even though you're still active as well. And then, but then the point came that I completely had to stop being the active part in all of this and all of my sport. And I took over coaching a team eventually because I thought, well, obviously, this is the next fulfilling thing and how I can stay connected to the sport as well, because the
Mm-hmm.
sport is obviously very dear to me as well. Um, yeah, that's kind of how I got into it more. So I then like shifted my focus more onto the coaching part and obviously less onto the active athlete part
Yeah.
or side of things. Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost feels like a stepping stone, right? Doesn't it? Like,
Yeah.
especially in maybe lower followed sport that you play, and if you want to carry on and be involved, you've got a coach. Whereas, like
Yeah.
things like high level football, they can be pundits and
Yeah.
and assistant coaches, and there is other opportunities. But in lower tier sports, there isn't that always
No.
that option. Did you feel
No.
like did you feel like you had to do that to keep that passion alive? Did you feel like you had to coach?
I mean, yeah, absolutely. Like there was no other alternative, as you just said. Like it's such a small bubble, and it's you don't have massive teams with like a massive trainer team, coach team, and things like that. So it's pretty small and simple, and yeah, it was like literally the only alternative. Either you're out or you step into the coaching role.
Yeah.
That's basically your options.
Yeah. Say for me, it just never really happened. It required, sometimes a certain level or an opportunity, and I believe I would have enjoyed it. But for me,
Yeah,
when I finished playing, a lot of why I finished playing was the commitment level. To go into coaching, the commitment level was still there, just maybe a little bit less on the physical side. You still had to be at all the trainings and travel and
yeah,
watch videos. The commitment level was still high for me. So that was a big
absolutely.
part of like, well, I didn't really want to do it. Um, how did you find the coaching?
Well, I enjoyed it overall. Like, I do think it's something that I enjoy doing, that I'm good at, and I like obviously working with people and the animals, like in my case, the horses as well. But there was a little but, and I've thought about this a lot, like why it is that way. But I come from a high level in the sport, and it's just like ingrained in me, in my personality as well, to be very like driven and always wanting to get to that next level and to achieve that goal. So then I ended up coaching a team that wasn't quite aligned with that. So then I was putting all that effort that you just mentioned as well, like into it. But the team would more be like, I'm just here for the fun, you know. I don't really want to be that crazy about
Hmm.
it. And I don't need to
Yeah.
win all these competitions. So that was a bit of a, yeah, like a challenge because I then tried to adapt myself to the team's level, you know, like
Okay.
their just like mental level,
Yeah.
like their
Yeah.
drive. But that just was not fulfilling. Like absolutely not. It's just I don't do like these half things. I'm like either I'm all
Yeah.
in or I'm out. And
Yeah.
that was a big issue for me. So then eventually it came that I was like, well then I'm out because I can't do this in between thing. Like I'm gonna go try and win a competition or I'm gonna turn away from it completely.
Yeah.
Which might sound a bit extreme, but that's just how my mind works.
No,
Which works in
no, and
extremes.
I think if we do have any athletes listening, you see the players that play closer to their 50s because they just love it, they have fun, and I always
Yeah.
said I was slightly jealous of players who could just turn up, have fun, and go
Yeah.
home because I was very
Yeah.
similar to you that it wasn't win at all cost, but a huge part of playing and the enjoyment part that I got from playing was being at as high a level as I could possibly be
Yeah.
and perform. So when other
Yeah.
people weren't matching that, I can understand why other athletes get frustrated. But now sitting back, I do admire those players that I maybe got frustrated with, because I wish there was a part of that because maybe I would still be playing at a lower level now and
Yeah.
enjoying it. But
Absolutely.
that was one reason I didn't step down to reduce the the amount of workload that I had, and why also I chose to step away as well was that. So I think it's very normal to have to see it from both angles that people
Yeah.
can step away because they are at a high level, because you get to do what we do now. So where have you now taken your coaching?
So it took me a while to get to where I am now, right? But there has always been this pattern of like, I tend to manage teams, you know, be a team lead. I'm good at those kind of things. I'm good at developing people, coaching people into a certain role and things like that. So now I found my passion with like social media and this like coaching thing and kind of try to combine it all into once. And I help people with their social media, their personal branding, and their online presence to be like authentic and confident with it,
Mm-hmm.
which brings a lot of like mindset work with it. So that's where like a lot of the coaching part I think comes into. It's like all those
Yeah,
limiting beliefs you might have, or the shyness you might have, or you know, the fear of judgment, all those kind of things to work through that with people. And
yeah,
yeah, and like looking back, there's always, you know, there's been like this red thread throughout all my jobs and throughout my life that there's always been a little bit of this like the coaching never fully went away. It just like
mm-hmm.
shifted into different areas, and then you kind of adapt your skills to those people and that
Yeah,
area you're in,
yeah,
which has been super
yeah,
interesting. Um,
yeah.
yeah,
And that's what I wanted to talk about in this episode, is that if anybody is out there and struggling with what to do with life after playing, the skills do correlate. The
yeah,
skills to become a coach, the skills to have the right mindset to perform at your best in life, not just on the court or the field or the pitch, that you can take those skills and use them away from the game. And yes, it took you a bit of time, but you realize now that you can coach people, and you're getting to coach people that also want to be coached to be their best, which then aligned with the reason you stepped away from the equestrian vaulting.
Absolutely. I was thinking about it just before we got on the call. It's like, the people I work with now and also like want to keep working with, they're driven, they want to like up level, they want to, improve their personal brand and all those things. Like, they're not here to just like mess around and be like, oh, whatever, I don't really care. So I only just realized that, interestingly. I was like, oh yeah, that makes so much sense. I've got that back, that the why I turned away from the coaching first. I kind of have that now, that I can pick the people I want to work with and that I work with. So I can pick those kind of people now. I don't have to just be like, whatever, I'll try and work it out on my side. Like, no, if you want to work with me, you've got to bring that ambition with you, like at least a little bit, and then I can like elevate it, right?
And that's where the growth element continues, is you continue to learn and growth. And I've spoke about it before, and I'll probably do a short on it, but about accidental intent, that we often fall into something by accident, yet there's been intent behind it. Everything that you've done in sport and coaching and your own personal upbringing has kind of led you to this phase. And it happens. If you trust the process and you continue to follow your purpose and passion, it will often take you to where it wants to go. And it becomes a matter of when it happens rather than if. So if you could leave anybody with like a tiny little nugget on what's taken you into that coaching field, is there anything you can think about that you could just leave everybody with something today?
So I think one of the most important things, and you just already touched point on that a little bit, is to obviously follow your passion and what gives you a feeling of success. So in my case, I always know, like, working with people, it seems to just work well for me. It makes me feel good. It gives me a lot and gives me energy, and it doesn't just drain me. So I'm like always trying to follow that path and what can I do to get back into that feeling? And for me, obviously, it's like some kind of coaching. It might be something else, right, as well, for other people, like some of the passion that they have or something that works well for them. But I do believe that once you start following that step by step, as you just mentioned, you'll eventually get to that point where you're like, oh, this all made so much sense, and all these learnings I have and all this experience I have, it's all coming together now. And that's one of the most rewarding things that I've for sure experienced. So keep following.
And that's
that
the thing.
Passion.
And with coaching as well, you've got a coaching in behavior change and habits. You've got a coaching in kind of social media. There is coaches of all forms today, whether it be an individual football coach. I've spoken and had with my clients, one that kind of coaches around the menopause. There are so many different areas. So if you've got the skills and the passion of your topic, go for it. Dive on in, go for it. There's, sleep training coaches, parent coach. There's so many different variations today, which is absolutely fascinating. So anything is possible. Okay, so wrapping up really quickly, Caitlin, just in case anybody didn't listen to the last episode, they are going to now, don't worry. Where can they find you?
So you can obviously find me on Instagram. It's Caitlin _ and then Atkinson, but without the vowels in it. I had to mention that one last time. And then, of course, on LinkedIn, also as Caitlin Atkinson. And feel free to just reach out to me on any of those social platforms. And if you're interested in anything or have questions, especially around social media and how to become more visible and authentic on social media, let me know.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. As always, we need to also be visible to share these stories to help somebody. If it's helped you, fantastic. If it could help somebody, please share, like, subscribe. And as I love to remind you before you all go, there is always another game. Thank you for everybody joining in. See you soon. Thank you, Caitlin.
Thank you.
See ya.